What is up, everybody? Welcome to Next Gen Console Countdown, Episode 3 podcast. We got some new information on the Xbox Series X coming in from Microsoft, actually Phil Spencer. We're going to go over some of the specs, and then we're going to go over some of the first impressions of what I think about what just got announced from Microsoft. So I'm going to actually read you the letter from Phil Spencer, head of Xbox. So he says, "The future of gaming has never been more inspiring. Creativity in games is flourishing. New services empower you to discover more games and bring you closer to the games and creators and streamers that you love. The cloud creates a massive opportunity to stream console quality games and play with people you want, wherever you want, and for many of us, nothing is more inspiring than the dawn of a new console generation." I couldn't agree more. We know you expect the next generation of consoles to set a new standard in graphical power and processing speed, converging together in games that look incredible and feel alive. This will be defined by the worlds that are visually astounding and immediately immersive, with innovative leaps in GPU, CPU, and storage technology to give you frictionless access to new stories and new creators constantly. We've been using the Xbox Series X in our international take-home program and are energized by the feedback we've been receiving. At Xbox, we value being open and transparent with you, and I'm proud to be able to share details about some of the technologies that we are enabling for the next generation, and look forward to boldly sharing more as we head towards E3. So I would imagine that we're going to be able to get a lot of these incremental updates leading up to E3, and then I think they're going to go out with a bang. I think basically E3, they're just going to let loose and pretty much give every single bit of information. Most probably take pre-orders on that day, and also probably release a price. Especially if it comes in different, there's speculation that there's going to be a pro version and a basic version. So we'll see. So pretty much what this whole spec layout here is really covering here is the 12 teraflops of GPU power. That's the graphical processing unit's power. And we've seen in the past, starting with the Xbox, the original Xbox, the Xbox 360, the Xbox One, the Xbox One X. Now they're saying here now it's twice the power of that of the Xbox One X and more than 8 times the original Xbox One. The Xbox Series X delivers a true generational leap in processing and graphical power with cutting-edge technology, resulting in higher frame rates, larger, more sophisticated game worlds, and an immersive experience. So they're really trying to get into that seamlessness, no loading times. Pretty much like if you're in an open world, like say The Witcher or something, there's no loading times. It's pretty much from one map area of the map right into the next without any loading scenes. So that's pretty interesting. And the GPU is going to help with that. So these teraflops, these 12 teraflops of GPU power is going to help a lot with that. Variable ray tracing, VRS, or rate tracing. Hardware accelerated DirectX ray tracing. You can expect more dynamic and realistic environments powered by hardware accelerated by DirectX ray tracing. Remember we talked about in previous episodes, PS5 and Xbox One, Xbox Series X is talking about this new technique that's coming, technology that's coming called ray tracing. Well, they're actually going above and beyond with that, saying that there's this new accelerated DirectX ray tracing. I guess Microsoft is patenting that specifically for their system. A first for console gaming, this means true-to-life lighting, accurate reflections, and realistic acoustics in real time as you explore the game world. Immersion in an instant. So this is kind of like what we were talking about. Solid state storage. With our next generation of solid state storage, nearly every aspect of playing games has improved. Game worlds are larger, more dynamic, and load in a flash, and fast travel is just that, fast. So like I was saying, that immersion where there's no loading times. Quick Resume. The new Quick Resume feature lets you continue multiple games from a suspended state almost instantly, returning you to where you were and what you were doing without waiting through the loading screens. So they're calling it Quick Resume. Dynamic latency input, DLI. HDMI 2.1. So they're upgrading the HDMI inputs. 120 frames per second support. With support for up to 120 frames per second, Xbox Series X will allow developers to exceed standard 60 frames per second output in favor of realism and fast-paced action. So let's see if this system could definitely hit 120 frames per second. That would be amazing. Especially, remember now, this is going to be 4K. So we're actually going to be hitting 120 frames per second in 4K. Originally the Xbox One X was saying that they were going to try to do that. So let's see, going into the next generation, if both the PS5 and the Xbox Series X is going to be able to do that. It definitely should with this amount of power. You would definitely think it wouldn't hesitate. This is like PC build, hardware we're talking about here. 4 generations of gaming. The next generation of game compatibility. So this is what everybody wants to know about. Our commitment to compatibility means existing Xbox One games, including backward compatibility. This includes the Xbox 360 and the original Xbox. Look and play better than ever before. Your favorite games, including titles in Xbox Game Pass, benefit from steadier frame rates, faster loading times, and improved resolution and visual fidelity. All with no developer work required. Your Xbox One gaming accessories also come forward with you. So even your old hardware, your older controllers, it all carries over. Especially if you have like that expensive Elite controller, that's going to be able to work with the new system. Smart delivery. Here it is. This is one of the biggest highlights of the show. Of the announcement. Smart delivery. This technology empowers you to buy a game once and know that whether you are playing it on Xbox One or Xbox Series X, you are getting the right version of the game or whatever Xbox you're playing on. So I'm going to sum this up. Pretty much from what we've been hearing from this announcement in interviews with Phil Spencer afterwards. Your games will be able to carry over from Xbox One to the Series X, but be updated to the newest technology. So you won't have to buy like an advanced edition. You won't have to buy port it over to the next gen when it comes out remastered, re-released. You buy it once, it carries over, and it gets upgraded to the latest edition. And the developers are going to have to take advantage of this technology, and the first one that came through was CD Projekt Red, which is coming out with Cyberpunk. So when Cyberpunk comes out in September for the Xbox One, you buy Cyberpunk, and then when you upgrade to the Series X, you get the updated Cyberpunk version on the new console, taking advantage of the new hardware. So that's awesome. I hope more developers come on board with this. Also, Halo Infinite will do it. Smart delivery on all our exclusive Xbox Game Studios. So they're going to be automatic. All the Microsoft exclusives will be automatic. They'll automatically be upgraded. You don't have to rebuy them again. This technology is available for all developers and publishers, and they can choose to use it for titles that will be released on Xbox One first and come to the Xbox Series X later. So they're talking about third party, like CD Projekt came out. So we're going to hope that more people come out and do that. I don't see why they wouldn't. Xbox Game Pass, in addition to games from across 4 generations of consoles, our leading game subscription service, Xbox Game Pass, will continue to have our first-party games like Halo Infinite included at launch. Remember, Halo Infinite is a launch title. We look forward to millions of you experiencing the Xbox Game Pass portfolio and immersing yourself into a deep library of high-quality games, playing through the ones you love now and discovering your next great adventure. A generation with players at the center. The Xbox Series X is our fastest, most powerful console ever designed. And that's it. We can't wait to share more details about the new Xbox with you in the coming months. Jump in, Phil Spencer. Probably most likely talking about in June, which is, of course, E3. We'll probably hear a little bit of updates from now in between E3, but I would imagine E3 is probably going to be where you find everything out. You're going to find a price, and you're going to find out when you can actually pre-order it. And also maybe a little bit more as far as the launch lineup, because as far as we know, Halo Infinite is one of the big ones. What about a new Motorsport? What about Forza? We know that Forza is working on something. Probably going to have a new Madden, a new Call of Duty. That's all going to be releasing around the same time, or at least the launch window of the Xbox Series X. So I would imagine that E3, you're going to hear a lot more about these launch titles. Let's wait and see. I'm super excited. It's a bummer that Sony dropped out of E3. But, I have a very strong suspicion that we're going to hear a lot of big stuff from Sony before E3. They just dropped out of, PAX East? Sony has plans to do their own thing. They like to do their own press conferences now. They don't like to attach themselves to these gaming conferences. So I think as far as the PS5, we're going to get information. I feel it's going to be before E3, at least close or around E3. And then the Series X will be all about E3. The E3 will be centered around Microsoft when they do their stage show. But let's see. But that was a good amount of information. I think as far as specs, I think we kind of know now. I think we kind of have enough now to go off of. It's obvious that this system is very powerful. I think right now people are worried about price, and they're worried about launch games, and they're worried. They're going to try to compete with the PlayStation 5. I think they're waiting to see what the PlayStation 5 price point is, and go from there. And it's kind of scaring people. I was reading some Reddit forums, and the people are saying, "Oh, well, the Xbox Series X is so powerful, but what's that going to mean for our wallets? What's that going to mean for price?" You have to understand something, though. These consoles are going to last you, what is it, 6-7 years for a console generation? Would you want these systems to come out and be upgraded or be out of date within a few years? That's something to really think about. You want these systems to be, done right. And if it means spending a little more when they come out, well, it's going to last you. And these developers are doing some amazing things with these games, and they're going to be able to take advantage of all this power. I can't wait to see what these third-party developers come up with this technology. I can't wait to see what the first-party developers come up with. I'm sure Halo Infinite is going to look absolutely stunning on this system. So that's the word from Phil Spencer. Those are the specs. You can actually go on Microsoft's website and read some more detail about the specs. It's pretty much now just waiting for a release date, an actual release date, a price point, and a launch window, a launch lineup. So we'll see. And, probably get a little bit more details between here and E3, but I think as far as Microsoft, it's going to be at E3. The rest is going to be at E3, and we'll see what Sony does. Sony's going to go and do their own thing, obviously. Hopefully before E3, like I said. And these two are just going to go at it again. It's going to be pretty much a head-to-head battle. And, of course, Nintendo sits in the back and does their own thing. I know there was no word of a new generation of Switch as far as the Switch Pro. So there's definitely nothing like that coming out this year. So Nintendo's going to rely on their first party, which they've always have. You know, they've never really been about competing as far as with specs. So I don't think that's going to be a problem with the Nintendo. I think it's pretty much going to be Sony and PlayStation going at it. And it should get interesting, definitely. Alright, that is episode 3 of my Next Gen Console Countdown series. Hopefully we'll have some more information on the next episode as far as Sony. Take care, guys. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you on the next episode.